Okay, so over the last couple of days, the 14 community has been blowing up. So very recently, Square Enix has released an update on their prohibited activities and account penalty policies, which you would think is a good thing, right? Well, we'll get to that in a second. Let's start with the good news and the reason for this update. As any active Final Fantasy XIV player would have noticed, up until recently, Party Finder has been filled with tons of RMT promotions, which refers to real money trading that promoted things like pilots or raid carries or even account selling and other miscellaneous things that have to do with, you know, people doing stuff for you. Pilots meaning someone using your account to do a piece of hard content for you, usually being ultimates. Because of the recent changes implemented by Square Enix, people can no longer use the Party Finder to promote things unrelated to the piece of content that is found under that category, such as you can't put something like a trial fight under Dungeons 50, 60, 70, which you think is common sense. It's just that now it's being enforced heavily to help filter the issue of RMT promotions. That being said, you'd think that they would simply move to the other tab. However, as outlined by Square Enix, the other tab is used for community events or Ffxiv recruitments or stuff similar to that nature. A couple of days early into the implementation, when I was playing, I did see a couple of RMTers try to disguise their promotions by saying stuff like Ffxiv recruitment. But as you can guess, that got wiped out pretty quickly. The GMs are on top of that, like real fast, like real hard. That stuff is a no-go. And now this is where the good news kind of stops. At least the perceived good. With that update to how we use Party Finder, Square Enix thought it prudent to explain penalties and warrant certain levels of punishments as a further response to how people are being punished for RMT promotion, as well as other behaviors not necessarily related to RMT, but still important to outline and help people understand how they're using this penalty system. The problem here is that people read the released rules that would warrant punishment and seem to have taken it at face value. An example is punishment for dismissal of conversation between two players that would force someone to play a different style. So dismissing someone's like style of play, for example, like no one really wants a frost mage, black mage, right? Unfortunately, at the time of this recording, I can't find the link to the examples shown. I think Square might have removed it. Either that or I'm crazy. But if someone can find it, that'd be great. Unfortunately, I don't have the examples to show on screen. Though the issue raised in that article was about how conversation was conducted, though, there were a few other issues people had with verbiage used that made Square Enix sound like they were overprotective of situations where a player could use the rules to grieve content as well as what's the word? As well as maybe like new players misunderstanding information and reporting them for that, and then, you know, causing this bloat of reports that are kind of void. Obviously that isn't the case. Released the very next day was an article from Toshio Marucci saying the following: "Greetings, this is Toshio Marucci, the global community producer for Final Fantasy XIV. Thank you for reading over the recent updated prohibited activities and account penalty policy. Following the update, there have been many lively discussions in the community. While we appreciate the interest shown by the players, we've noticed instances where they were becoming overly worried as a result of hearsay or hearing only bits and pieces of the details. To this end, I'd like to follow up with a clarification regarding some of the larger points of discussion. If you haven't reviewed the recent changes, I encourage you to take this opportunity to do so. As a premise, the update introduced two new Party Finder related prohibitions, but aside from these, there are no changes to communication related matters, and this policy won't have any significant impact on those who've been playing normally without incurring any violations. We hope you'll continue to be considerate of others and play in your usual manner." Now, this is super important. Now, the thing about this I want to focus on was this bit of red text. This statement literally tells us that nothing has changed. In fact, the rules they did release that everyone was freaking out about was the basic rules of the GM handbook with a grain of salt and some common sense. These rules have been in the game for 10 years. It's only now that's a problem because it's been made public knowledge. In short, if you're not a bad egg now, the likelihood is that you're not suddenly a bad egg tomorrow. So just continue playing as normal and you'll be fine. If you're, if you're actively causing problems, it's likely you might get a visit from the red glowy boy. If you're not, you're good. Other than that, guys, that's really all I really wanted to say. I know this was kind of short, but it's okay. There's like 10 trillion other videos out there about this topic, and there are a few other things in the that were shown in the guidelines that I didn't really go over, but this is generally the rule of thumb for most people. So long story short, if you're a good egg today, you're probably a good egg tomorrow. Again, you're fine. Just relax. It's not like Square Enix is suddenly freaking out and overreacting to stuff and turning women to fruit. You guys are fine. Everything is fine. Other than that, guys, I have nothing else to really say. Thank you for listening to me, and I hope you will have a great day, evening, or night. Bye, everybody.